But it's strongly encouraged, and some say, some very strongly emphasize the fact that we should now effectively offer and make the statement of what we might call the salawat, or what's sometimes called the durud. Okay, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. And uh, there's 2 points I want to make about this. Number one, this is one way in which to understand the significance of these words and these statements is as a preparation for the supplication that is recommended before we conclude the prayer, because it is an appropriate etiquette of supplication to precede the supplication with praise of God and invoking blessings upon the messenger. The supplication of such a person who shows that etiquette is more likely to be responded to. But there's also something else which I think is really lost, actually, because I think most Muslims, most believers, when we think about why do we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, why do we say sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like what exactly are we asking for? Because it's a supplication, right? We're asking Allah to do something, and most times when you make a supplication, you know what you're asking for, right? Like, okay, I want a car, I want a house, I want good health, I want wealth, whatever you want, right? You ask for. Okay, you have an idea of what the implication of that is, like what it would feel like or look like if you were to then receive it. Does it feel or look like for that supplication that we're making to be answered? Right, to say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma barik ala Muhammad, which literally means something along the lines of that, oh God, give your blessings and grace to Muhammad and the family and followers of Muhammad, just as you did upon Abraham and the family and followers of Abraham. Indeed, you are praiseworthy and glorified. So the clue is in the second part, just as you did upon Abraham and the family and followers of Abraham. So there's something that happened for Ibrahim alayhi salam and subsequent to Ibrahim alayhi salam that we're basically asking for some sort of replication of in a way that's appropriate. And the whole point here, in brief, is that we are asking for the legacy of the messenger to be successful. That's what this supplication is actually about. Because when we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, we are asking, in Arabic you say it's like a form of ta'zim, which means to glorify or magnify, right? That we are asking for the station of the messenger to be raised. To be raised how and where? To be raised in the eyes of people, in the perception of people, right? And some link it also to the station in the hereafter, even though, regardless of whether you and I supplicate for it, he will have his position, maqam mahmud, right? That praiseworthy station in the hereafter, from which he will then supplicate for all people, etc. Right? Even though he will have that station, regardless, we still supplicate in this way. But we want the perception of the messenger, the understanding of the messenger, and then what does that mean? Fundamentally, a respect for the Quran and a following and an obedience to the one true God, to be elevated in life. Okay, well, and barakah or blessing is for his efforts to be amplified, right? Like his life has passed, whatever he did during his life. But obviously there was so much barakah in it, there was so much blessing in it, because look at the legacy, look at the effect, the continued, just constant kind of thing that's going on because of his efforts. And so that's what we need to realize we're asking for. And so why this is significant is because when we say these words, I like to invite people to think, just imagine that you're a companion, right? Praying behind the messenger, saying these words. Just imagine like how powerful, like that would be like super emotional, to be frank, yeah? Especially when at a time in the mission, for example, which was most of the time, when things were it was a struggle, it was difficult, it was tough, there was oppression, there was just issues, you felt like you were always up against it. And what are the people saying about their leader? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma barik ala Muhammad, right? Like basically, help our leader to succeed. And hidden within that is surely a request to help us help our leader to succeed. Meaning you're all, because now, and especially now the messenger has passed, like how, yes, Allah decrees and he does what he does, but the onus on carrying this forward is on us. So in a way, which I think is lost on a lot of people, what we're in some ways asking for is our collective ability to rise to the challenge of doing what's necessary for his mission and his legacy to endure. Because it's only by virtue of the work of believers, as it has always been through the generations, and it was the same now and it will be in the future, as a consequence of what we do or don't do, that legacy, that reputation, right, that the deen effectively will flourish or otherwise. So that's something really important. And again, it kind of aligns with this first part. There's a strong sense of of mission, conviction, like confidence. There's something energizing about the words that we're saying in the sitting position, which on the one hand, but on the other hand, of course, there's a lot of salam, peace and security and all of this going on. So there's almost what seems like a kind of a paradoxical kind of mix of the kind of words and statements and the setting that should relax us and give us a sense of great peace and tranquility. But at the same time, once you now offer your salam to right and left, like we should be energized, right? We should have a get up and go kind of attitude off the back of what we've just said and done, right? Sometimes I give the analogy of the prayer being like, putting your phone on charge. Yeah. And if you're, when you go back to your phone and you see it's on 100%, like somehow some of that energy seems to transfer into you. Now you feel this optimism about what you can now achieve, right? Whether that's for good or bad is another question. But the point is, you feel like now I can do something, right? Because my phone is charged. Similarly, when your battery is properly charged, if you like, your internal battery is charged off the back of the prayer, you should feel that motivation. Now I'm going to do something, right? Expend yourself until your next prayer comes and then you can recharge again, right? This is the notion of the idea.